So welcome. And thank you for being with us tonight, Miss Judy.
Yes, welcome.
All right, so number 2, we're going to review agenda, changes, addition, and we're appoint timekeeper. So we need a timekeeper to keep us on task. We have a huge agenda. And then we also need to put the timeline so that if somebody is going after the fact to look at the meeting, they know exactly when to cue in for whichever section they're interested in. So volunteers,
We get those when Duncan sends out those tapes.
I'm sorry,
We get the timeline when Duncan sends out the written tape.
MMC TV had asked us to do this.
Yeah, it's different for in the minutes, the timeline.
Oh,
Because,
Yeah.
it's not minutes.
So,
really.
MMC TV had sent that request a few months ago. I don't remember what month, but they had sent that a few months ago just to keep their tapes better organized.
Well, I use it when,
A
there's
select board, I
something
do
on
too.
the Select board agenda, when it says it's an hour into the agenda, I can just spin through, get to that point. I don't have to look at everything else.
Right. So changes, additions, and point timekeeper. Anybody want to be timekeeper?
I just have to tell Tess.
Yeah, you need to just keep a piece of paper and tell her what time we switch subjects.
Me.
She said Tess. Huh?
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm not Tess. I'm looking at Tess. I wanted to.
have that red pen.
Yes, you may. Okay, so any changes, additions on the minutes,
You mean on the agenda?
Agenda.
on the agenda? Anything you want to move up, anything you want changed? I know it's a pretty long agenda, and if we don't get through it, we don't get through it, and we'll put it on the next week.
I was gonna make an addition, but.
Okay.
Okay, I would move that we talk a little bit about 10 minutes worth of the January 29th meeting.
Okay.
That's still up as a draft.
Can I ask why? Since
Because-
we spent a very long time, the night Gary Bresser was here, just with a magnifying glass, looking at those minutes. And I think we've sort of moved past those minutes, and there's nothing in my mind that needs to be changed.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Other
Yeah.
people,
Well, I agree, because when we left, because those are the ones you typed, we already approved the minutes at the last meeting. We approved them, and then I told Duncan to go with a draft of, without my notes here, I'm really stuck. Because
So-
we had 2 minutes that we approved.
So you're talking about the
21st,
January
29th.
30th minutes?
January 30th.
Yeah.
January 30th, and you told Duncan
On
just
the
to put
March
him as,
20th meeting, we approved 2 minutes, because I had been
right,
missing.
I remember.
So I was supposed to tell Duncan the one I typed that now it's not a draft anymore and take off the word draft, and I thought you were gonna do that to yours, but I mean, I can do that when I send this one in.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay,
It's,
so there is something since you brought up the agenda, I do have a 2-minute thing. When the three of us, Tess, Jeannie and I were working on the draft for the pickleball grant application, we had a question, we had a couple questions. I ran down to talk with Josh because Tess was very, very concerned that prior to our meetings, like the select board puts related files. And I said, and I think you were concerned because like tonight, there were not related files on the thing. When we talked to Josh, he said, oh my God, that's not part of the agenda. You don't have to do that. He goes, Denise, only the select board does it because so many people asked him for certain things. He just figured he's got it on his desk. He'll just put it up there. Even after the meeting, we don't have to put it on there.
but see, the related files on this particular meeting, I felt was the main focus of what that meeting was about.
So if somebody wants to see, they can call Josh or Duncan, and I think Duncan's our rep. They can call Duncan and get the files, or they can go on the video. And if we've put it up, like she may have put some stuff up tonight, she can get them there. But they can always call one of us. Only thing we're required to do by law is agenda and then minutes. That's what Josh said.
Okay.
That's what Josh told us. So, the only thing I need now is a timekeeper. You're doing timekeeper?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so,
So do we want to set some times though? That's what I was thinking, just like, 2 minutes on the, or just remind us that we've been talking too much
Yeah.
about a topic.
Oh,
That
Say,
was
we gotta
more-
move
So I just need to jot down when we start something and.
when we start, yep.
Okay.
Okay, so public comment on non-agenda items.
So we had one email and I'll read it,
Okay,
right?
please.
You were on it. So it says, I'm sorry, you can't attend. If possible, would like this included in the public comment section of tonight's meeting. As you get closer to potential construction of the pickleball courts, please make sure with your contractor that a perimeter for walking is left for folks to enjoy around the outside perimeter of the Browns Court field. Many folks enjoy walking at Browns Court throughout the day, and it would be a real loss to Richmond residents to lose their resource. And I don't know if she wanted herself named, so I'll leave it there.
Is it Melissa?
But I did, yes, and I did respond back saying it's been permitted, the location is permitted, it will have to go where it is permitted, which left space around.
Right.
I couldn't tell her off the top of my head
How many feet?
how much feet, but there's also setbacks, but I did say it's permitted, that's where it has to go at this point.
And there's plenty of room to walk.
And there's plenty of room. Yeah, and we took her concerns way back
Right, we
previously.
made the
And
plan.
we left plenty
But-
of room for a walking path all around the outside.
I just wanted to ensure that we read her comment
Okay,
and weren't ignoring.
perfect. Should we, no, everything's been done. So had she gone to see the permit, she would have seen that there was ample room.
Mhm.
Okay, so perfect. Review minutes of May 7th, 2025 meeting and approve such minutes.
And I will abstain as I was not there.
Okay? Any corrections, additions, or deletions to those minutes?
Nope.
May I have a motion, please?
I move that we accept the minutes.
A second.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes of May 7th, 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Judy Rosowski of the Richmond Conservation Commission. And we've asked Judy here tonight just to understand the scope and regarding what type of funding might be available from the Town Conservation Reserve Fund for parks projects.
How much do you want me to spend on this? I could do 2 seconds, I could do 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Because we wanted to have definitely 10 minutes, because we definitely would love time for questions.
Right.
The one on that
yeah,
side?
sure.
Before Judy talks, I need to say that I was on the select board when this
I have a
was approved.
Okay,
So I have a concern that we are following the document. It was scrutinized when we approved it the first time. Way back when,
Thank you so much.
July 18th, 2005. That's the one, that
2005? Holy crap.
that was the, that,
Years old.
yeah.
1
So
year.
it was a tough thing to get that through and the criteria was worked through.
Mhm.
So I don't know if any changes have been made, but this had to be approved by the whole establishment of the fund had to be approved.
So is that document only
Give you the
approved by the
maps when we
select
get
board,
into
or was that something that was
So it's CRF to.
approved by the whole town of Richmond?
It,
Okay,
And then
it became effective upon approval by the Richmond Select Board and the Richmond.
hold on, I just want to share the screen and then I'll give you the clicker.
I'm sorry?
What it says is it became effective upon approval of the Richmond Select Board and the Richmond Conservation Commission. I'm thinking we might have had a town vote and I'd have to go back to create a conservation commission. I don't remember.
I know we've,
Commissions are allowed in statute. And so,
Whether the select board or the town voted to say we wanted one. My memory would mean I'd have to go back to 2005 and look at minutes, but
Judy, I am so sorry. I apologize. I should have introduced who we are. You know me, Denise Barnard, co-chair.
Ken Drzezinski, co-chair.
and tech queen.
Yeah, tech queen.
Trying, but I was
Megan Andrews.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Agner.
Hi.
Test stores.
Sorry, I was guessing your names and got.
Yeah, I know, that was so rude of me. I apologize.
Right, I know. what you mean. For better or worse. I mean, that would be quite something if that weren't right. All right, so I just wanted to quickly, whoa. Went too fast. Introduce you to where you find this document. So you go to the town website, you click on boards and meetings.
I sent it to.
Yeah, we've got it
Oh,
too.
Okay, Conservation Commission, yeah, if you want to find on your own. And unfortunately, what you really want is the file down there, and also you can tell other people where to find it. We
Oh.
did reorganize this recently, but not, oh, there you go.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
All right, right, so then you get to that, and here we go. So this was established to basically protect natural resources, but it has some other functions which are relevant to you, which includes outdoor recreation opportunities. And then basically there were a couple of main areas: keeping working lands functioning, protecting natural resources, including water quality, and a list of other things, historic preservation. And one that I'm forgetting, yeah, no, I'm forgetting the other one, but I'm just circled here, so permanently preserve public access to land valued for recreation, other types of affordable outdoor recreation as appropriate for each individual parcel, right? So recreation is a big piece of the Conservation Reserve Fund. And so this is a process for submitting an application, and I brought examples of applications. Some of them are 1 page, some are 20 pages with pictures and whatever. And there's certain criteria which are in the application itself. But basically, you'll contact me or whoever's the chair of the Conservation Commission and mention your idea. And so I can be like, ooh, that won't work, or yeah, that's great, submit a proposal. You write the proposal and submit it to the Conservation Commission. I send it to the members to review. We meet and discuss it, and we ask the people submitting it to come to the meeting or be there virtually so we can ask questions. And then we vote on whether we're going to recommend it to the select board or not recommend it to the select board. So we don't have the final decision. We simply provide input and give subject matter expertise to the select board. Then it will go to the select board meeting, and I usually show up just in case a representative from submitting an application can't make it. And they present it to the select board, who then decides if they're going to do it. And I often communicate with Josh ahead of time in case there are any questions of whether it would be an appropriate use of the Conservation Reserve funds or not. So that's the process. And then, so the application form itself has a particular format and things they're looking for, but really, I mean, this isn't official, but if it's a small project for a limited amount of money, you don't need to do as an elaborate a project. If you're asking for $100,000 or the Gillette Pond Dam, then it needs to be a little prettier. And we are now, so it's asking for the description. The important thing for us is that you include the criteria, and if you go through the document Fran provided you, the different criteria for what would be suitable. You don't need to have a lot. You could only have one. That's fine. It's just to show that it meets what we're asking for. And then a schedule, if there's any match, budgetary match is important, helpful, but not, again, required. We've never asked people how accounting and fiscal records will be maintained, so don't be flipped out by that. And we are now trying to ask that when people complete a project, they just send us a note, a paragraph, something that says, we did XYZ as we had said we would, and it's done. So that way we have closure. There's been a bit of a hassle, but well, not hassle, a difference of opinion, which obviously went in the select board's favor about. So when we do these and when we look at these applications and we approve them and we have a motion and it gives a 3-year sunset date. So they have to use the money within a 3-year time period or reapply. But the select board now seems to feel that the second the project is done, that's the end of the access to the money. Whereas I feel like, well, if you have a sunset date of 3 years, why can't you have the money for 3 years? But I am wrong. So you do the project,
Spend it all.
Right, and that's why having a timeline would be important, because then the select board would see like, oh, they did phase one, but they haven't done phase two, and we allocated the money for them. Okay. So anyway, so that's how it works, so, I think. Whoops, wrong way. So if you have any questions, and I also brought some examples, if you want to see those, or I could email them to you.
I think if you just talk about a couple of the examples, might be helpful.
So, well, the reason I was gonna show them is because they're short, like,
Yeah.
so one of them was.
Yes.
there was
Please
like
do.
a-
Yeah,
okay.
do.
You have them on here?
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
you're okay.
Life's difficult for you. I should have,
No, this is
You're
awesome.
fine. This is not, the Wi-Fi is
Yeah.
difficult, not,
Okay, yeah,
not this.
So let's start with the community,
This first one?
the first one, yeah. Well, since it's right there. Oops. Yeah, just whatever. So if you just sort of scroll through this or. Oh, Copilot.
Pop-ups galore. Let me make sure I'm still sharing. I believe I am, just to double check. Yep, okay, good.
Oh, and the other thing that's important to put in your project description is how much money you want, because that was select board is gonna want to know if you wrote it. So this is for $2,000 for the community.
Is there any way, that we could get samples of these
Yeah,
letters?
Just email them. to
Okay,
me.
that'd be great.
I'll email them to you and you can.
Okay,
send them to your
perfect.
committee. So you know, it's just sort of describing like, why do we, what are we planning to do? How much money do we want? Why is this important? What criteria does it meet out of the list? There's a list in the Conservation Reserve Fund document. You know, who else you might be working with, and then what's your budget?
Okay, so I got a question on this one.
Mhm.
The Richmond Community Gardens, is that what's on Gary Bresser's property as you go around the corner?
Yeah, I think so.
Was,
Was.
they're
Oh, it was.
moving to Monitor Barn, because Gary's going to be building at some point.
On the right side? Oh,
The
okay.
old, the barber home.
Yeah, the barber home, yeah.
Oh,
I didn't, I think I'm pretty well informed. I had no idea this was a project.
Mhm.
Did anyone not know that?
There's,
Well,
I don't
did-
know, 8 or 10 people, or more, and they, sort of have days of the week where they have gone over, I think at least 2 years,
Mhm.
where they
Mhm.
plant vegetables, and then they had like salad day once where they.
Community Senior Center.
Oh, nice,
That's
oh,
the-
nice.
I didn't realize I had that.
And then
Yeah,
they're
see?
providing, they.
Do they bring it to the food shelf too? Oh, great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I didn't know
this-
those parts.
I didn't,
Yeah, I was thinking that we should start publishing these projects on the website, so if people are
Mhm,
interested.
yes.
they can
yes,
see
I think
them.
that'd be a great idea.
Well, I think it's important, come every March,
Oh, right.
Before we vote?
yes.
Well, we have on our website the list of projects that have been funded,
Mhm.
not documentation about them, but just their name.
Oh, this is great.
And stuff, yeah.
Nice.
And then, so that's one of them, and then I have another one I could
Is that
quickly.
this
show.
other one? This,
There's two more, one is pretty short. How about the volunteer?
The PDF one?
Yeah.
Now, that's the project that just happened? No.
This was an earlier iteration, and this is the
Okay.
thing where we apply for money, we have money left over. Josh wants another application instead of letting us use what we think we have left.
Mm.
Whatever.
My grandson was part of this second project.
Yeah, I drove by and saw him, he's so handsome. So this is just, so this is sort of like a letter, and I think he then goes on to, give some background and the problem. Then why it's significant, and I don't know if he ever lists the criteria, oh yeah, he does. Right, and then this is, so you see, people have different levels of detail and.
That's
effort.
crazy.
So it's not, you know, as long as you've kind of.
That whole
covered-
project was $200? Oh, that was the first iteration?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, mostly he gets the trees donated, I think.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So again, so just so you're not intimidated by the form or
Mhm.
anything.
And the biggest, I don't know if this is true, I would say the biggest project you had was probably the dam at
Yeah, the
Gillette
dam.
Pond.
Was, I think we did it in two parts. It was 150,000. Often with projects like that, if you can get a community partner to donate a big chunk of money, it helps show that there's interest.
Mhm.
And then they took 200,000, but in 150,000 for the startup, and then we saved out 50,000 if they needed to construct a parking area, which it turned out they did. So that was
The Andrews Community Forest
Yep,
we,
was,
the parking lot.
oh,
no, we had to buy. We had to put in like $200,000,
so Conservation Reserve Fund only put in 75,000 for that.
but because we were, that had to go to the voters.
Right.
Because if you read here, if you're acquiring land,
Right, I saw that.
Over a value of 20,000,
Yeah.
then you have to.
then that had to go before the
okay.
voters.
But we were gonna give them either 75,000 or 125,000, but Bob Heiser is an incredible fundraiser. And,
Now he's Vermont Land Trust, right?
he's Vermont Land Trust, and they own that conservation easement on that.
I see. Can I ask a question about that? And I didn't understand, and it probably I should not ask it during the meeting, but I noticed that the town owns Andrews Forest. They gave Velco a easement. Velco gave the town
They gave
40
Velco-
grand,
Velco was already there.
Yeah, Velco has the
right?
right.
But
of
they
way through that
just,
property.
Velco just paid the town of Richmond like, I don't know, 40 grand, maybe it's not 40 grand, some large amount of money. And it went back in the general fund.
Oh, instead of to Andrews Community Forest?
Well, I'm thinking even your fund, it should have gone back into.
Interesting. I didn't know about that.
You should look at last month's, a meeting ago. I just questioned that. I was like, ooh. But anyway, so a couple questions and get your questions. Anybody else have questions before? So a question I have.
Mhm.
So, the way this fund gets money is we vote on it every town meeting.
Right.
And then the disbursement gets made by June 30 after the town meeting, correct?
I believe so.
And it's a one-time contribution. And I apologize. On my little sticky notes, I had exactly how much money was in the fund. I had how much the next contribution was gonna be. So there's a lot of money in the fund. So
Yes.
that was my question. But is that the only place you get resources, financial resources from?
So by statute, people can make donations and there can be other, I forget what the other ones are. It's in your,
Yeah, in the
Document.
document. Okay.
towards the end. But I don't think we've really made any effort to do that.
To do fundraising.
And so
Okay.
far, we've had sufficient resources to complete the projects that people have applied for.
Okay. So,
The one goal I have is to try to move away from land acquisition. So,
yes,
or, to do projects like the Andrews Community Forest that aren't just buying land to conserve it, but to have it used for specific purposes like this, the free park. I mean, you're not buying land, but it's a good use of community money.
So it could be a variety of the things that we're doing, like playground with the restoration of the grassy area down there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll check it out with
Specific, I mean, that's
Josh.
at least it seems like restoring the grass, that would definitely seem to be a conservation
Well, it's funny because
something, but
in conservation grass, it's like
well,
mhm.
a
yes,
desert.
but
So,
Yeah,
okay,
but I mean,
restore
yes.
for the flood. Be
Right.
better than that bark mulch that's there right
Yeah.
now that gets washed away every time.
And I think it would be up to us to
Yeah.
look at their criteria
Yeah.
and figure out the verbiage.
Yeah.
That,
This,
right. So,
this applicant, like
I'm
doing an
yeah.
application like these, or even, would be very simple to write up. I mean, I think
Exactly.
you did a grant that took a lot more
yeah.
know,
so this is-
work and detailing than
Yes.
than
So,
this. But
at-
obviously it would be larger if we're asking.
Right.
Yeah.
So as all of you know, at Brown's Court, we've got the money for the 4 pickleball courts that start hopefully next month, the month after, which we'll get into
Okay,
about
yeah.
that, talking about that. We need money to purchase trees.
There you go.
So we need money to purchase trees. So
the reason why we need it is because
The
the
town.
town took all of our money for the FEMA money, for FEMA.
So
So
we're flood
Flood
repair.
FUD, and it was for a town thing, they took it for FUD.
Right.
But anyway, so they took all the money that we need for trees. These courts are gonna be done, ready to go, ready to be played on.
Right.
The permit says, until we have all those trees, no one can touch the courts.
Right. And so this is one that I would run by Josh and I would say,
Oh,
hey.
we already have.
Yeah.
We already have.
Okay, great.
So I think our first step, a little project, and Fran, so also I just want to tell you what we've already done up at Browns Court.
Yeah.
So we have already cleaned all the trash. So was it
Wow.
last year or 2 years ago now?
You're going.
The tree trash.
Last year.
Okay, so last year, a group of us got together. We cleaned up all the trash. Some neighbors came over with tractors. They pulled up old fencing. We cleaned all the bottles.
Wow.
The town, exactly, the town highway department came up and picked it all up right after Green Up Day, but all the volunteers got it all picked up. Then with Fran's guidance, and the committee's guidance, but Fran was the leader of that section. We had all the trees up there evaluated, and Acer from Waterbury, who was phenomenal, came up. They had to cut some trees down. They cut all the ones that were dangerously hanging over. They trimmed everything. It looks absolutely stunning up there, but more trees are needed.
Right.
Fran, do you know or remember off the top of your head what total, not just around the pickleball, but how much for all the trees to be planted up there? Or do you know?
Oh, you mean
Cost
the
or number
trees
of
we
trees?
need?
Well, all of them, the ones around,
Are you looking for, wait,
The
are you
arbor-
looking for the number of trees or the cost?
the
of-
cost. The arborvitae, the ones around.
Well, it's
the
only
toilet,
That's our too.
And then the ones on the Carroll line.
The amount that we got approved, we'll say, but it's obviously changed because over time prices go up, okay?
Right.
The amount that we budgeted was the 3,500.
Okay.
But it's
So that's-
higher than that now.
Okay, so we're at least looking for 3,500 on our application, and it is just for trees for beautification.
That's great.
It's 84
down
trees
Okay.
and approximately $100 a tree max.
Right.
Unless the price has really gone up.
Because
So-
as you did on your project on the riverbank, we're gonna get a volunteer day
Yeah.
and have somebody dig trenches, and we're gonna dig and put them all in ourselves.
All right, call me. We'll
No.
help you out.
Okay?
Costume.
So, and it's a committee decision, I'm just talking,
Right.
but I think that our first step,
No.
that's perfect.
Right, so
Dollars
just
total.
write
to
the
deliver.
explanation.
That is.
I mean, you checked with Josh.
Mhm.
Yeah, we checked with John.
Yeah.
He didn't have any immediate qualms, we'll say.
Right,
They're
right.
not
So
charging
Because we're not even, to
$60
be honest with you,
deliver each
we're not even
tree.
sure that fund's ever gonna be reimbursed. And the only reason we have the money for the pickleball is because we had
Each
signed the
tree
contract
is like
right before the special
$89.
meeting.
No, trees are perfect.
And then they're
Perfect.
gonna charge
That's definitely
$100 to
trees are better
deliver
than
all
trees.
those
Those are with-
80.
And I can even show you a picture of what it's gonna look like.
I know,
I
don't,
don't want to keep you too long because I know you have
Okay.
more things.
This is-
on that.
I appreciate you coming.
There's no way you can
Cast in
cycle
stone.
my.
we'll need to get a new
Onto your computer.
projection.
is-
but
Because I can't, I'm not
delivery
actually
is
connected.
$100 for all
It
trees.
just
That
comes
doesn't
with
make
my-
sense.
It does not.
So what if here, I'll stop sharing and then I'll see if I can just sign into my email and email it to myself.
But we have beautiful prints that
Physically-
John Lynn drew, which we will submit with an application. And if we have any questions, we'll call you.
Or are you worried that my?
And there's not really a limit of, we can continue to do separate applications for different parts of the
There were-
project.
If you feel like pens, but on your screen, it's all the
We
same.
have two prices.
Yeah, good, perfect.
Types.
I'm trying to cancel
Same
my.
for the frog rescue.
Right.
that we've done. Yeah, and if you have any questions, just call me.
Actually,
All right.
hold on.
Judy, thank you for coming with
So
us.
much.
Before Judy leaves, does anyone else have any questions?
I can't leave yet because I'm trying.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to,
No.
exit out of anything and cause your thing to
Oh,
crash.
no.
So hold on, I'm trying to find all the right screens.
Yes, right.
You're staring, stop sharing, screen sharing. That'll help me be able to find how to eject your thing.
I admire your poise under.
So do we want to do 3 to 5 more minutes to discuss the possibility of getting a grant committee together to write a grant proposal for the trees? Is that something we want to do?
I would just
Or-
propose that we do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. with that one.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's not, I don't want to
Something
reject
you
it
and I
and then
can
have it cause a problem,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
let's
don't
try
think
that.
we take that.
Is that all right? Yeah? We take that on.
Thank you so much. All right, good luck.
We will be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for helping us.
Oh, no problem.
Let me just
Yeah,
make
I
sure.
get
we're
about 78,000 a year now, so I feel
Yeah.
like we should think big.
Well, hey, if we could get
We
this
got
little
some big
project,
things.
we'd be thrilled.
All right,
Thanks so much for coming.
So I probably should ask you that. So what about? We had improvements for the softball field there. Is that something of
Ju-
conservation?
Well, it's recreational.
Yeah, that's, Josh, that's Josh's bailiwick.
Yep.
Mhm.
And if you want to, if you're thinking about trying to do volunteers green, I would.
Yeah,
would-
just leave the trees.
Yeah,
Just leave the tree.
Okay, I just was, yeah.
Pledge of
But
Worry about
Jeannie
that
had a good
fund.
point. We could also ask for a picnic table and benches plus the tree. But she said recreational.
Mm-hmm.
How does the committee feel about that? So would you two get together, come back at our next meeting and make a proposal to us?
yeah,
And we can put on the agenda possible vote on submitting a conservation grant application for recreational purposes?
that will, I think, require a little more finesse.
The benches and
The
the,
benches, no, but if we at some point want to submit a grant request for volunteers green,
Oh, yeah, that'll take a lot more work.
yeah,
for
no,
sure.
let's just do Brown's Court for now, I mean.
No.
this is a mistake.
All right,
And this was based on 55 trees.
Remember, people can see you delete.
That is a mistake.
I'm sorry?
because I've
People
talked
can
to
see you
them
on
about
screen.
that.
Okay, so you're basing this price. is
Thank you,
based
honey.
on 50
I appreciate that.
trees?
Yeah.
Okay, with $100.
But the tape is.
$100.
Except
Okay.
See, right
80
here?
yeah.
Oh, no.
All right, so next.
So
80
this-
83
this.
times 50 is this.
Okay.
Right,
Remind.
And how do you come up with it?
because they
Okay.
gave us two
And
prices,
it's on the back.
and the highest price.
Perfect.
is This one,
Okay.
you know, this
Get going, code of
is
ethics.
the
Okay.
invoices.
So,
What they're trying to show us if
as
it's
I said,
expensive trees, it's that. If we got the cheaper trees, it's that.
okay, ladies, I'm gonna cut you off.
This isn't, this isn't an invoice, this is an estimation. Okay, this is not an invoice. This is
Yes.
giving me an estimate of what it would cost for those trees.
But I would.
I'll
I'm
take care of it,
I'm-
okay?
okay.
Just let me take care of it.
All right, so we're moving on to code of ethics and, oh,
Can I?
I'm sorry, sure.
Yeah. Going back to number 4, the review of the minutes,
Yes.
we can't approve a meeting in May. This is our May meeting.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The minutes that we have to approve are the ones from March 20th.
Okay,
And-
I'm so sorry. All right, let's go back and correct that. I apologize. We are going to X number 4. May I have a motion to review, or let's review the minutes for the March 20th, 2025 meeting. Any corrections, additions, or deletions?
No,
I made some corrections or sent them to you a while ago.
Yeah, but I had all those on the top when I sent it back out to everybody. I said, here are the things I corrected.
yep,
You know,
some reason
spelled
I'm
some
not sure.
names, did
I-
some things.
can look up the-
and
I'm not sure that
I have them right here.
yep,
I
gee,
mean,
we got
but I
that.
did, yeah, I sent
Okay.
it after the first time. And you
Could you
sent me a couple corrections and I can send it to you later. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. I can read them to you if I can find.
Yeah, if you could-
It's my screen is dark. I'm having,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
it's
having
great.
technical challenges here today.
I hate to table minutes again.
Yeah,
What,
could do that.
you sent Jean some changes.
I sent some
Jean
changes.
put those changes in the minutes,
Yeah.
sent them out to us. And we all got
Wait,
it.
That's not what I saw on the web.
Don't use.
Well, no,
use
because
what
that's
you
not the
get
one
from
we
Jean.
haven't approved.
We
because
haven't,
when I
those are
approved-
draft.
Those were the first draft. I never sent.
We don't keep
second
sending
draft.
new drafts to Duncan. We
Yeah.
send the first one then we approve it, then we send him the final.
Yeah, and
So
I even.
tomorrow
looked at
morning,
them.
she'll send him the final
And he'll
of the March 20th minutes.
post the new
With
ones
the corrections.
with the corrections.
The minutes we are about to approve are the last draft that Jean sent us.
The only thing I remember getting is your first draft and I sent you some corrections and I don't remember
Right.
getting a second.
Oh, I sent it, I bet I sent it out like that. Next day.
Just to keep us moving, I'm gonna ask for a motion on the May 20th minutes.
Not May, March.
I'm sorry,
I will make.
March 20th,
That
2025.
we approve the March 20th minutes as based on the last draft that was sent out to us by Jean.
She sent them out May the 5th.
With the red on
Draft
top,
two.
it says.
With the red
here's-
on top?
here's what I
Correct.
changed, and I even.
Am I on it?
Yeah, I know I
Yeah.
sent it to you.
Yeah, it's
May
May
5th.
May 5th.
It's called draft 2.
And I want to apologize to Tess. Tess, I have not been including Miss LaFave on my emails.
Oh, you've included her on some and then people have dropped her.
Okay, I think there's some I have not included her. Is everyone okay if I don't include her?
Yep.
I think on these discussions, I mean, I think to keep her name on the. I know we wanted to keep the number,
Yeah, okay,
and I think if I keep the name on the
Minutes.
minutes, do you think that's enough?
Yeah.
I think that, I know she's not interested in.
Yeah.
Hearing all that communication going back and forth.
okay. So I've got a motion on the floor. I'm sorry, the motion was made by Fran, seconded by Megan. All those in favor of approving the March 20th, 25 minutes with the corrections that were done with Tessa's input by Jeannie and resent, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Going back to number 6, Code of Ethics, open meeting reminder review. So I spoke with Duncan and Josh. There's a new law that has passed in, hold on, sorry. Of course you can. There's a new law that has passed since we did our open meeting law review. That, remember the last year we signed that document? We all had to read the document, sign the document. Well, this year, there is a video that each of us on the honor system has to watch. Duncan's gonna send
Well,
us each.
It's not on the honors, it tracks it. And
Oh, yeah,
he can
that's
then
true.
go online and see that you did it.
At the
So
end
you
of
can't
it.
do it as a group because you have to do it as an individual. I did mine over the weekend.
Oh, you're so
Mhm.
good.
How long is it?
45 minutes.
But if you put it in high speed, it's 20. No, Josh told us that.
No.
If you,
Josh
and then
and
he
Duncan
said
said
when
that.
he would hear something
you
interested,
Watch the
he would
video.
turn it off.
It then has like 6 questions at the back of it. Then you just send, it sends you, it says, okay, you completed this, etc. I saved it. I then signed on the little page that he said, and I sent them both over to Duncan and I said, here you go. Did I miss anything? And he said, nope, thank you.
Right.
So that's what you have to do.
So the code of ethics, we're gonna have to sign. They told me between the June and August meeting. So there is a deadline to the state. At the end of the video, which the video is an hour video, but if you watch it on a higher speed, I think they told me it was 20 minutes. And then when you sign that document, it goes right back to Duncan Wardwell's desk. So he knows you.
You have to email it to him. So it doesn't automatically, like, you complete it
I thought
and he
told us
can
right
then,
back.
Well,
he can go online and check it.
Oh, okay.
But he
Okay.
wouldn't know to go online and check it. So you sign the document. I emailed it
Will
to
you
him.
do me a favor? Will you send us a link just to the,
He sent it, that was the link that he gave you
Okay, that was
in
the
his
link.
3
Okay.
different emails.
so you have
I
to
just
do it
followed that
before
link.
August? You have to do it before August. So everybody write yourself a note, do it before August, and then we'll actually get a physical copy. And now it's called training, open meeting law and ethics. It's all one thing now.
I think it's through August to the end of August, I
Right.
believe.
I wasn't saying that because get people to do it.
Okay, so I had signed the documents, acknowledgement forms before the June, July meeting. I'll take
Right.
that off.
So we need to keep putting that on an agenda too, just to keep reminding people. But Duncan sent us that email on March 21st.
Yeah.
But sign the acknowledgement forms, da, 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 da.
And there's a link right on the town website.
Perfect. Moving on, anybody have any questions about that?
Well, someone just sent me the link.
Okay. Thanks, babe, we will.
Sorry.
No, my God,
I
don't.
don't know where.
Okay, number 7, we're gonna have a report from Fran on the select board public hearing regarding the changes the planning commission did in regards to volunteer green. And Fran, thank you
No.
for taking care of this for our
Oh,
committee.
volunteers, great.
Volunteers green.
I was thinking
A
that
while ago.
the last DRB meeting.
What is this?
Relatives to Browns Court. So the town, I mean, the planning commission made what appears to me to be the necessary changes to allow us to build a pavilion or whatever we want to call it up on top and move the playground up on top. We will have to, if we do new, we'll have to demolish the existing band shell, demolish the restroom facility. And initially I thought that, you could demolish the restroom facility and leave the slab. There may be, that may not be the case. The slab may have to go as well because it's an impervious surface and we're going to be putting impervious surface up above. But when the changes that were proposed by the planning commission went to the select board, there was very little discussion and the select board approved those changes. So now those changes are permanent in our zoning bylaws. And I recently was, which will come up at some point, talking to Keith Oborn, because Tyler is gone. If
As of last Wednesday,
yeah,
Who took his? place?
Keith
Nobody-
Osborne.
Keith, oh.
so Tyler has moved. He lives in Morrisville and he's actually now going to be working in Morrisville. So Keith told me that he'll work with us to get things done that we want done. So I feel that it might be a easier relationship. They are, going to hire a new DRB person, but that hasn't happened yet. So as long as Keith's there, I think, and we want to do stuff, I think I can work with him. We can work with him if, we're still a ways away as far as volunteers green or working with him. But I think we're in good shape as far as zoning regulations that we have to deal with.
And they were so responsive. And I don't know if this is appropriate, Fran, but I think that they really listened to our committee when we went there and spoke with them. And I wondered, because they've taken some heat, I wonder if it would just be a nice thing to do is send the planning commission just a little note saying, we appreciate that you listened to us and made the changes, and I'd be happy to do that and have all of us sign it and send it to Virginia and the committee. I just think that was incredible that they listened to us so much.
Well, and Virginia came to a meeting.
Yeah, and she came to a meeting.
Met me at the park
Right.
and.
Okay, so I will do a thank you note and then bring it to our next meeting so we can all sign it.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Okay. I apologize. Can we just go back to number 5 just for 1 second? I told you I had gone and met with Connie Bona, who's our financial person. In the conservation fund, as of this moment, we have $372,757.70. On July 1st, the next contribution is going to be $80,500 plus or minus. So there's over $400,000 in that account. And as you know, every year it gets another deposit. So, and all the money has been spent. So this is all there waiting for someone to ask. And I just wanted to update you with those numbers.
I don't know if I want to put those in the minutes if somebody reads the minutes. and
I
then
know, they
go
might
make
take
an
the money. I write,
application.
don't, yeah, just say Denise, you don't have to do anything with those. Okay, anybody have any questions before we move on to number 8? Timekeeper, you're doing a great job on us. Okay, so just to give you guys a heads up, And I'll be honest with you, I was getting very discouraged about some stuff that had been going on with our committee. Not against you guys, but just it felt like we take 3 steps forward and 4 back. And I just was getting so frustrated that I was getting this from this person, this from this person. So Kendra, myself, and Fran contacted Josh, and we asked to have a meeting just to clear the air about some stuff. And we want to know where we stood on the FEMA money. We wanted to know where we stood on a few items. And so I just want to briefly update you first about the FEMA money, and Kendra and Fran jump in. So we've been getting some mixed messages about FEMA's money. And Josh told us that supposedly they meet every week with a FEMA representative. I do know our FEMA representative had been recently changed to a newer FEMA representative. Duncan assured us that 95% of the paperwork has been completed for the July 2024 floods and submitted to FEMA. FEMA's got a ton of money ready to pay, but we're not there. So we were getting frustrated, like, why? What's taking so long? But Duncan assured us there's 95% has been submitted. You guys want to share anything else?
Well, and first Duncan has to get all the information, and he's still getting information from Pete as to, what, because they're still repairing.
invoices, yeah, are
things.
still
So
coming
he
in.
has to get all the invoices, and then he submits it to one FEMA rep, but then there's like 3 stages that it has to go through.
Mhm.
And the stage up from Duncan submits it, the local FEMA rep might send it back to Duncan, well, we need another number here, or why did they do this? And then once that rep okays it, then it goes to another rep,
Yeah,
a higher up, who then sends it back. And
he'll send him to go,
Yeah.
go measure this or go redo this or whatever.
so
Go ahead.
they're fairly optimistic that this summer we may start
And
getting.
they said in a couple months. And that's the other thing I want to make sure that's mentioned in the wider group is that we've heard, the other thing that's been heard is that they received money from the 2023 flood, and could that be used to reimburse? The answer is no.
Mhm.
That money has already been used to reimburse other funds or are used on the budget. Those are essentially, we didn't get into all the details of the numbers of it, but it's not there. It's not available to reimburse us.
They had to do some creative accounting, really.
Yeah.
So that the town didn't have to borrow money in order to fix
Exactly.
all the flood repairs.
So that's not an option. We have to wait for the 2024 FEMA money.
Any questions?
They're feeling confident the funds may start to, be
Come this summer.
reimbursed by the
They
summer.
said by the end of the summer,
I'm-
yeah,
okay.
somewhere around there.
But I mean, we all
Miss-
have to
you know,
be aware,
Realistically, we'll say,
Right.
we have to be aware of the political.
Uh-huh.
I
well,
just,
we'll say all under the impression that we get no more floods.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
That was also stated.
just so that you know, in July 2023 disaster, Richmond submitted 13 projects. The total for the 13 projects was 976,274. FEMA awarded the town of Richmond 884,327.
Mm.
And 4 of those projects from 23 are still ongoing. For July 2024 disaster, there were 10 projects. And that's all I can say there.
Also, the other thing that was mentioned that we should put out there is like, she threw out, FEMA only reimburses 75, and then the state reimburses 12
That's
something
right.
of the state. That money comes way later, the state portion. So really, they're only trying to get that 75% from FEMA that then would be used to reimburse our funds. They say that currently, under our current circumstances, we would be kind of top on the list. I wouldn't say first, but top on the list, and that there should be enough funds to reimburse us. Again, all under the umbrella of so long as we don't flood again. As an update.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions about FEMA? That was one of, so in our meeting, that was one of the items that we discussed. So we had asked Jay Fur to come and he said he'd be here. I guess a work commitment came up. He didn't show up. So it was just Josh and Duncan and the three of us. The next item, so everybody good on the FEMA? Any questions on FEMA? So the next item on the Browns Court was boundary adjustments. And I guess I'm gonna defer to Fran if you could explain how you felt.
Well, I felt more positive than I had been.
But start how we started. I mean,
Um,
yeah. It was an interesting meeting.
yeah, because I have, there's two boundary issues up there. When, McCarthy's built their home and there was a survey done, there was a boundary, identified by Lamoureux as a survey. And they actually wanted the town and the McCarthys to agree that this was the boundary. And the town never followed through. So that's one issue, you know, what is the agreed upon boundary up there? And then when Chris Haggerty did the survey and we were really looking, there's the point of, there's that point that comes right in the middle of the field, which is a second thing. So the lawyer had really only looked at the first issue, get an agreed upon, and he had not looked at the fact that we needed to address this point of land. So Josh thought he had done everything, but when Josh went back to him, he had not done the point, and he had not done anything with the Oliver, Mary Claire Carroll. So
The point is that. is
There's
there-
the point that
This
she's
is-
referring to is the piece that goes directly
Well, I know
into,
what you mean,
and
but
then-
that is the Mary, that is the.
no,
Oh,
no,
that's-
no, that's
what I
McCarthy.
meant.
any triangle at the
Right
end.
there.
Okay,
Fran's got a great picture of it.
I just wasn't sure.
We have two different issues.
Three.
Three, I was
Of
gonna
three.
say if you're talking, yeah,
Okay,
that's.
so
what's
the
confusing. Thank
point,
you.
the point
Two
is
triangles.
this triangle of land.
Yes.
That's the McCarthy.
Oh, and that's part of the.
That's
the
all part
McCarthy's.
of McCarthy.
Yeah,
The tiny
And
one
the Mary Claire
by the
Carroll
entrance.
is,
okay, no, that's what I
Different.
just wanted, if that was.
is
that
the
was there.
entrance.
McCarthy
Yeah,
lines
okay.
together.
So there are two different things, and I have talked to, last summer, I talked to Linda McCarthy,
Mhm.
and she was amenable
The lawyer.
to doing whatever we needed
onto the
done.
lawyer, This.
Just didn't get done.
And, but nobody, the town or the town's lawyer had not contacted the McCarthys.
Mhm.
But,
So,
but this meeting, I felt, got things moving.
yeah, but I need to
Keep on moving.
keep.
And I, as a Richmond taxpayer, we have spent probably $5,000 with Chris Haggerty up there. The McCarthys are willing to do the boundary adjustment and have been for 2 years now. And we've spent 5,000, we agree, and they're gonna give us this little pie, this little point. It's like, let's get it done. Let's get it done. So, and then also, we also brought up the fact that until those three issues or two issues or three issues are taken care of, we can't get it into the Richmond Land Trust for perpetual care. It can't be done until the boundary adjustments are taken care of. So everything is on there. Any questions?
Yeah.
Or comments?
What we refer to as the Oliver
Yes.
boundary, okay? Isn't that on the current map what's called the unclaimed property?
Right, the underwear factory.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Question for you. Yesterday, well, last night, and then this morning, I did another run back. I went down to Browns Court, okay? And you know how you're supposed to list the permit so that it's in view of
Yep.
everybody? There's supposed to be two, I believe.
There,
Okay.
there were two up there when I went up after our meeting.
Okay, there's only one now. The only one that is there,
Is the yellow one?
there's I don't know what, was the other one yellow as well?
I think it was a green and yellow. I think one
This
has
one's
already
yellow.
been past the 15 days.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they took that one down.
If you get past the
There's-
15 days, you don't need to have
Yeah,
that.
or maybe they
there.
took it down because we're past the 15 days.
You have 15 days to approve,
Appeal.
appeal after Tyler granted that permit, you have 15 days in which to appeal.
And then you don't need to have it posted anymore. You can take it down.
Okay, the one that states like where the meeting, what the, like the DRB meeting that we had?
Yeah,
Okay. It was my understanding, if you read that thing, that it said something to the effect that this goes up at least 15 days prior to that meeting to announce it, okay? And that it stays up until after the construction is completed.
okay. Could you do a favor? Maybe a kid went up there and ripped it down. Cause it's on the illegal board that my husband put up. But could you just ask Duncan, just for clarification? Or you might even have to go to Keith Orborn.
Okay,
Actually, probably just gonna have to go to Keith Orborn.
Well, first you need to go up and take a picture of what's there.
Yeah, that's a
I've got
great
it.
idea. That's a
Got
great
it.
idea. Take a picture and then just for clarifications, and maybe with all the rain we've had, it got ripped down, it got wet. Who knows?
Mm.
But they were both up there. I have swung up there too to make sure they were both hanging. And then also we learned at that meeting that the contractor's been up there. And I said to Duncan, I said, well, what did he say when you talked to him? I didn't talk to him.
I don't go and bother people like that.
Yeah, I don't
This
go
is
and bother
correct.
people like
Yep.
that.
I actually drafted up an email to Duncan. I was gonna send it to Duncan, Josh, Keith,
About what?
about the sign being missing.
Okay, don't
just-
bother them, Tess, until you take pictures. And then that's something that Duncan was the one that went up there and put those up. So talk to him first don't bother Duncan or Keith until something is missing.
Gotcha.
That's right. Yeah, don't bother Josh or Keith until we know for a fact something is missing.
Oh, I know for a fact that it's missing unless somebody brought it up,
Okay,
unless somebody replaced it
I think
this
worrying
morning.
about something
It's
we don't.
really our responsibility to worry about it being.
yeah,
posted.
the
It's
town of
town's
Richmond is
permit,
representative.
And so they need to worry about, I don't need to keep monitoring their permit status. It's not our permit.
Yeah, and kids, you could put one up there tomorrow and the kids could rip it back down. They've had the bike going up there, all the kids, every kindergarten through fourth graders have been
Yeah.
doing biking. So probably one of them just ripped it down. So,
Well, the part that's scary too, it's specifically that those signs have to be on on the property that you're working with.
yeah, the sign is on their property. The sign is on Browns Court
No, no,
property.
it's supposed to be on the applicant's.
That's the Brown
The
Sport,
town's
that's the
property.
town.
But if it's unclaimed now, is it our property?
What?
What's unclaimed?
She's saying it's on that little triangle.
No, it's not on the
It's not.
triangle.
The triangle goes into his land, his lawn.
Okay.
That little piece. But I would just take a picture, just talk to Duncan. And then just update, the committee, let them know what they said. But that's all you need to do, if you don't mind doing that.
I don't know.
Okay. Perfect. All right, boundary adjustments. And so as I think, I don't know if I even said this, but as a Richmond taxpayer, we've spent around $5,000. I already said it.
Yeah.
We need to get this fixed.
Move to the next one.
Okay, water updates. So things were getting a little tense in the meeting and Denise wasn't being a really team player. And I sent this all to you tonight as I was sitting here. So I see Steve Cody. I said, Steve, we gotta have water for the courts. We've gotta have water. And
He's the water
Steve
superintendent.
Cody is the head honcho at the water department. So he says, Denise, let me see what I can do. So he goes immediately over to the town garage and speaks to Pete Goslin. So they come up with a thing. Steve Cody and his crew will do the labor for free. Town garage people will do their labor for free. They'll get it in, but Denise, you got to pay for the parts. So everything's a new standard now. It's not like what Pete ripped out years ago. So everything's a new standard. And I sent this all to you in your email tonight. You have it. I apologize.
It's the locking water spigot.
It's the
to clarify
locking
for the
water
record.
spigot. And the locking water spigot is $2,527.10. So as I told you, the town used to have one. It got ripped out. Why is it our responsibility to provide water for that entire park now? When we're not the ones that ripped it out. So I kind of nice graciously asked Josh, it's like, Josh, can't you find 2,000? I think he was done with me that day. I said, can't you find $2,527 in your budget? Long story short, he agreed to do it.
So
The bad news. The bad news is Steve Cody has already gone to 2 different manufacturers. And it's a 26-week lead time on the equipment. He's still checking. But he said, Denise, and then, so I talked to him again Friday. I said, Steve, what are we gonna do? We need water for the courts, and I don't want the non-water to hold us up. He said, Denise, if you need it, water, I'll bring a truck, a 250-gallon truck up there and attach a hose for you. He goes, if worse comes to worse, we'll attach it to the hydrant. You'll have water, don't you worry.
For the contractor.
For the contractor. And the town's gonna pay
The spigot.
for the spigot, the locking spigot. It will have most likely a code on it where you just have to punch in a code or a dial and that turns it on and off. And it's like, so there'll be certain people that have the code, like all the coaches up
And then if
there.
it starts to get abused, they can change the code. They do this with.
Totally. Over there. So
Sessions
that's the
down.
wonderful water date. It's not coming out of our budget. So you can update our budget now.
We have $500 back, except that doesn't include the hose, so
We don't even need well,
eventually you will.
I
To
asked
maintain the
okay.
pickleball court.
to maintain, yeah. Okay, so pickleball courts. Okay. Let me do my part and then you can do your part, Jeannie. Pickleball courts. So when we left the last meeting, I said, Duncan, do you mind if I call the contractor to find out what's going on? I call Michelle. I say, Michelle, do you have any idea when you might be here? Michelle is, sure.
The highest bidder pickleball
the
court
contractor.
company.
Yeah, she's a contractor. She's the office person of the
Yeah.
contractor. So I called Michelle. I said, Michelle, when are you gonna be here? Michelle did not know that we had our permit approved. It was still sitting on her left hand pending approval from the DRB. So she didn't know. So now they're telling us, oh my God, where's this? Hold on, I gotta find it because.
Towards the end of something. Mid to late. summer.
Mid to late summer. So. Oh my God, this is gonna drive me crazy. Could I be any more unorganized tonight?
Has,
Be looking for-
has David Sunshine signed off on it? Has the
do you mean?
chair, has the
We
chair?
don't need.
We don't need,
Because
that's not even,
That
it's
is not
approved.
a worry.
okay, so I don't have the
I'll
thing, but
address
she said mid to late summer.
Mhm.
They'll be up here, like I said, the contractor was up here last week, so that's a really good sign. And I asked them, what do we need? The only thing they needed was water, which is all taken care of. The other thing, so I didn't know how this worked, but it's not a quick job. It's gonna take like 2 months.
Yep.
They lay the first layer, it has to cure, and then they come back and put the color and the lines and the coating on it. So, it's gonna take, it's about a 2-month process. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, 6 weeks to 2 months. The paving coating has to sit for 3 weeks. Once all the site work's done, then the paving goes on. That has to sit for 3 weeks. They come back and then they finish up the project.
So one question we probably need to ask them is, at what point could we go in and plant trees?
I don't think until the fence is up,
Okay.
because they'll
And the
get prepped.
fence
want
is the
you to-
last thing that,
They don't want you to, the edges of those courts are gonna be,
soft
Yeah.
until they harden up.
they won't want you anywhere near.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fall, which is gonna be perfect planting season,
oh, yeah.
you know?
Just thinking, I'm gonna contact Gardner Supply and make sure I have the updated number.
Oh, good. To be honest with you, Michelle and she's an office person and all the workers are out in the field all the time. I have never spoken to the gentleman who bid the project. I don't know if they're husband, wife, or if she just does the billing, but, not a warm fuzzy person. That's just my opinion. But I keep trying. I don't know. But the fact that he was up here, I think is really good news, really good news. So, and I'm that person that calls periodically, just say, hey, it's Denise from Vermont. How's it going?
On the agenda, it says, there's not an actual start date. We don't have an actual start date. Just to
He
clarify.
said, she said middle to late summer.
Just to clarify, that
Exactly.
there's not an actual like, oh, we're going to start on,
No.
there's a round date.
I
Now,
have 2
do-
months.
Now, do they proceed with this even if the boundary lines aren't clarified?
They,
got
they
you.
don't, that's
That has
not.
nothing to do with that.
at all.
Permit, that's all they
Yeah,
have to worry
that's
about.
Nothing.
The only thing is we will need to choose a color, but I believe we don't even have to vote on it because it was a standard color that was bid. So that bid process already went out and we paid for a standard color.
Mhm.
My question to you is, do we want to do a little fancier paint
No.
colors? Or do we just want to do one color with white lines?
No, we don't want to pay more than,
One
Right.
color with white line.
Okay, so I guess it's light blue, dark blue, and I've got all the colors, right here. Maybe I will put it on the agenda and we'll just vote on it next week, next meeting.
meeting next week.
Oh, no, not the next week, but
Oh, you know what? We even said at the last meeting before then
That
that
we didn't
You
care.
guys could make.
And
the
that you
final-
yeah, because it's already been bid out. It's
Wasn't.
all we need is a standard color. That's what the bid
Standard
project was.
color.
So Tess, you and I will choose a color.
Why can't we just do it as a meeting if it's that quick?
Okay,
Right.
we'll put it on for 2 minutes. I'll come back with a recommendation.
Meeting.
Did you-
yeah,
Right, we
that's
keep
what you
talking
said.
about
Ask her if red was the standard color or not.
Yes.
Is it?
What'd she say? Yes. Standard colors are the green, blues, and red. Purple and gray are extra charge.
Let's just pick a color now.
Yeah.
But we didn't want it.
That's
But we
not-
already said
it's
that you
not-
weren't gonna
Standard
vote on
color,
it.
okay.
Right. We didn't.
We
I
already
picked,
We said last time that it was
Yeah.
your decision. We-
Okay.
we voted on- We voted on that. to
Okay.
say it was your
I
decision.
like light blue.
Hold on. Where's our oh, I don't know where our camera is. I was gonna put it up to the camera. There. Then you can all see the ones we're talking about. If we come back to the video. Okay. Your vote.
Red would be my choice.
Okay.
I would go with the dark blue.
I've never seen a pickleball court, so it's gonna be, yeah, the blues. I'm a blue person, so either blue.
I'm a blue person. I don't, yeah.
What
So
would
it's
you
a-
say? Blue?
Light blue.
Is that this one?
Yep.
Okay, can I come back?
Megan, what did you say?
A blue. I don't care
Same
about
here.
blue.
If we're going blue, then I'd go with dark blue.
I'd go with dark blue.
All right.
All right, dark blue it is. Dark blue it is. Okay.
You want a formal vote?
Standard
No,
color.
that's a standard color. That's all that matters. It was the standard color and that was what was bid.
Yeah.
Everybody happy with dark blue?
Yes, so
Okay,
you're gonna want a
8:15.
formal vote.
Yeah, you're gonna want a formal?
Okay, can we formally vote that
Are
we
you
all picked
Are you
It's
okay?
called-
Formal vote tonight?
dark blue?
Sure.
Okay,
The color that's in the pamphlet is called dark blue. We are formally voting that that's gonna be the color. All those in
with white
favor,
lines.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Having there be none, dark blue it is.
Dark blue, I guess. Okay, I'll call Michelle, let her know dark blue it is. Okay.
Unless it costs more,
No, it's a standard.
and you come back.
It's a standard, baby.
No more money.
There's the other blue.
All right,
Or
moving on to
just
number
me.
10.
No.
Number 10.
Somebody
we
has to
got-
hold the
we got-
purse string.
Oh, we got more on
Pickleball, yeah.
pickleball.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn,
Court colors, final decision, review sample signs for courts.
all right, do we want to table that because of the time? Because we're not gonna need to have
Signs
those
for a while.
for a while. Does everybody okay with?
Yeah, but when we have the signs, and that's where I got good impressions from Tyler, was he doesn't care about
The wording,
the exact wording,
Right.
but we will need a sign permit. So as soon as we come up with, you have to get a sign permit.
minutes right now.
We can do it in 2 minutes?
I think so.
Okay,
If
let's
you
do
think
it.
we have to
Let's
have a
get it done.
sign-
Let's get her done.
Because.
the
Chuck
sign
and I were-
permit, to clarify for me, Fran, it was what size the sign was, wasn't it? Or did it have to have exact wording?
No,
Doesn't
no.
have to have exact wording, but
Just
you have to
size.
get a sign permit that gives you they need to know a general idea.
Of what it's gonna say and
it's
what the
gonna
size
say.
is.
But
Okay.
you know, you can change the words a little
little
bit.
bit. Okay.
Okay, can I ask a favor? Can we table it and
Have you
is it
draft up?
possible, send all of us so we can look at it?
Yeah.
If we have any corrections or suggestions, so we have time to look at them?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if you could send that to us
So.
and we'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay, how about, do you want to talk about, or did you ask neighbors about hours? So then I can make up a sample sign with hours on it. You were gonna do that. You were gonna talk about a meeting to go, like chatting with the neighbors to see what they think about hours of pickleball court.
I
Or
think,
should it just be dawn
I
to dusk?
think we need
I think dawn to
dawn
dusk.
to dusk.
Okay,
And then see how it goes the first year. If there's issues, then we change them.
I could just make those samples.
Yeah, dawn to dusk.
But
Okay.
dawn in the summertime is really early.
Early.
Yeah, so
8 to
maybe
8.
8 o'clock, 8 to dusk, 8 AM to dusk.
But I think we should
Well, we
run
can
it
talk
by the
about this
neighbors
more.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be a problem like the select board has in their ordinance for the parks, what the hours are going to be? And I think
Mhm.
from May 1st until November, something like that, of where it's from dawn to dusk. And then I think in the winter hours, I think it starts like November 1st, I think that it goes dawn to 6 o'clock.
Well, we won't be using it in
Right,
November.
the pickleball courts will be closed in the winter.
Well, except that you've got like the month of April, which is in there.
It's easier.
But you can have, this is a facility within a park.
Right, it can have different hours than
So it can
the
have.
ordinance. It needs to be posted as such.
But I think we should run it by the neighbors.
I would agree with you on that, Fran, except that in the ordinance, it also says very specifically, with the exception of the skating rink, they made it a point of saying the skating rink, and that's a facility in the park.
You know, maybe it would be nice to have a little meeting, maybe, and I mean, maybe we could just bring some punch or some iced tea and some cookies and just say, this is what's gonna be happening once we have a start date. This is what's gonna be happening. Here are the hours. This is where they're going, and we can map them out before we meet with the neighbors. This is where it's going. This is what they're gonna look like. This is the color we've chosen.
And what do you think about the hours?
And what do you think about the hours?
Yeah.
Cause we're making the signs. This is what
So
the
who is
signs.
this meeting with?
Okay,
Neighbors.
Just the neighbors? You said
And
before we meet with the
Do
neighbors.
anybody in Richmond. We will invite the whole town.
Well,
so
'cause
we
I
don't
just
get in
asked
trouble.
because I'm like, we've already kind of displayed all these things over and over in different meetings in terms of this is where it's gonna be and this is what it's, and we
Right,
flagged
we
it
have-
and we did all these things. So I kind of am like, can we just do this like on the side, like talk to the neighbors, find out, do we have any problem with this 8 AM to dusk and
I
move
think,
on?
I don't know that we need a meeting, but I think we need to somehow.
Right, can't, like if you could
Send them a
canvas.
letter, send them an email. This is what we're
Right.
Well,
thinking.
or we could start our, I mean, just a thought. When we have a meeting in the summer, start our meeting at 7 o'clock up there. For a half an hour, 7 to 7:30, public comment from Richmond residents, so we don't get our ass bit or say, hey,
I
where
think
were
you've
you?
done all the things to show, I think you just post it as, the same as we're gonna do with
And
the signage.
And that's right, the
You
permits have
post the
been posted.
signage. I think in that, when we do that agenda item, you make the agenda item clear, review signage and hours of the park. People will see it on Front Porch Forum, they'll see it as a very detailed agenda item. They come if they have insights or they don't,
Or they call us.
or they call us or
send
email
an
us or
like they
whatever.
did.
You know, I think
Did you respond to her?
I did
Oh,
right away.
thanks.
I will talk to Josh
Right,
about the
yes.
difference of the hours for the
Okay.
pickleball. court.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Work versus
The ordinance.
general park ordinance.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
That sound good to everybody? Anybody have questions? So we're gonna table the sample signs and you're gonna send those out so we have time to look at them and make any
And you'll
notes
just
on them.
draft it up with some, what,
Oh, she's already got them already.
well, and I'll say for the times, draft it up with this 8 AM to dusk. And that's how we'll present and say, does anybody have any issues with this? Yes, no, maybe.
And
What do we
and
change it
this is a
to?
good time that maybe those should go in draft related files.
You'd have to provide them to Duncan.
Right, just
Directly.
provide them to Duncan before the meeting, the next meeting when they're on the agenda. So that if anybody wants to weigh in, they can.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over now to Jeannie for the grant application.
Well, Tess found a great grant, $50,000. We met together, we filled out, the grant is from the USA Pickleball. When I got home, I saw that we, that one section we missed. So I did contact them, I sent them 2 more sentences, put it in there, cleared it up. It's $50,000, they're awarding 2 $50,000 grants across the United States, so I think we're not way up there. But I did notice that other one, the other grant, they're offering another grant called
Play it forward.
Play It Forward, and that's for equipment like paddles and things. And that one, well, it was last year's that had closed. It has not opened yet. It opens on National Pickleball Day, August 8th.
Okay.
And this
And
is when the
that's-
one that we did submit is announced.
No, yeah,
So the first one is announced on August 8th
yeah,
and the second one opens on August 8th.
yeah,
So just so you know, I had to go to the select board, get approval
yeah.
before we submitted the grant. They said, no problem, do whatever. I was at the select board meeting for maybe 3 minutes, if that.
So I am very willing to fill out that next grant and we could talk. My thought was that I wondered if, you know how the Recreation Committee wrote a grant for snowshoes and the
Mhm.
library keeps the snowshoes?
Yep.
Mhm.
That, you know, if maybe we could I could talk to the library, would they do that? And that might just be one more little in like, you know, another community. Something, if they could have bags of pickleball equipment and somebody can come and sign it out and go play pickleball and return it.
Well,
Sounds
I
great.
mean, I could just see if they're interested.
then, well, the last, I get, you probably get the library big love
Mhm.
update. It
Yeah.
seemed like, they're expanding the things that they lend out.
Yeah,
So
yes.
this would be a
Mhm.
perfect one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
For, I can't speak for them, but I would think it would fit in
yeah.
within their mission.
And I mean, I just think that you and I could work on the draft. And
Yeah.
The problem with this, that you can't fill it out and save it.
It's a hard-
It was really frustrating. It's a simple grant, but you had to,
Wait,
so I finally.
No, you had to
what I
type
would
it and
do now-
submit.
Right, you can't hold it, or you have to keep your computer open and don't ever lose that page.
Oh, goodness.
You know, it's not it's a fill-in,
waste
but
of
you
our
can't
time.
save it, so, but
can you print it?
no, nope,
You can't even print it.
no.
Mhm.
No, it was very bizarre.
great.
So what I ended up,
Great.
what.
It was
what I
more
learned
than
to do
bizarre.
Is type on a Word document, when you're ready to do it, cut and paste, cut and paste,
Yeah.
cut and paste, put it right in there.
So I learned a
But-
valuable lesson. Any grants that any committee wants to submit, you have to get select board
Yeah.
approval before. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, we'll ask them if we could do that one after.
All right.
While we're still on Browns Corp, okay? Phase 1, okay, I know you and I have gone back and forth about the trees around pickleball courts. One thing that I am concerned about, there's a 30-foot setback distance from the cedar tree line to the pickleball courts. It's listed on the Phase 1
Mhm.
in the, okay? But there's only a 15 rear yard setback. Now, those, first of all, not all of those trees, either on your east side or on your north side, are cedar. There's a variety of
Mhm.
trees
So I
there.
have to, I have to stop right there. So when you say there's a 30-foot setback, 15 set, was that something we imposed or was that the town?
Well, I think the 15 was was by the town.
Right.
The 30 was recommended by a contractor, a pickleball contractor, who said, your big concern is that you don't want limbs from trees falling down on your courts.
Mhm.
And remember when you and I and
But we trimmed all those.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the trees we're gonna plant.
No,
that's what I'm,
Those were
that's what,
hardwood trees.
those,
The concern of 30 feet was for all the trees that are up there now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's, but he's referring to those as being a cedar tree line, which they aren't. Okay,
Who's referring to?
But it
Who is
also-
that?
Hmm?
Who is that from?
I'm reading it right from,
I know, who is it?
for
What
which
is this from?
contractor?
this is,
From the contractor or from
No,
the DRB?
this is from Josh to the DRB.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so what I'm saying
Where are
is,
you reading?
Where'd you, what's that
Where are you
document?
reading?
it is the Browns Court permit cover letter and application narrative.
Okay,
Okay, and it's on the DRB website
okay,
for their 4-15 meeting.
okay.
Okay, so this is one that I had pointed out before, saying that we really do need 30 feet. And when we went up and measured,
It's
remember
a
that
30-foot recommendation.
they were pretty specific in saying your biggest concern isn't, I thought it was because of the roots of the tree spreading, but their bigger concern, it's any limbs that are falling. I mean, you get a windstorm and you're gonna have a tree fall, just like it happened at on the baseball softball ball field. So I think that 15 rear yard setback should be a 30-foot.
I think we're into the baseball field if we do that, though.
Well, we did do a rough estimate. We did do a rough drawing on, remember when,
Yeah. We scoped it out.
yeah, and that was at 30 feet.
We can go up to the boundary line and go 30 feet out and see what happens. We can go look at it. We could go from both corners.
Yeah.
From 30 feet as you drive in from that boundary, and we could go 30 feet from where we had all those limbs trimmed on that big
Yeah.
tree in the gully and come back 30 feet this way and see where it brings us. Michael's got a 30-foot tape. We could do that,
Okay.
just to see what it looks like.
But, yeah, but it also gets back the drawing would be incorrect.
Well, the whole permit would be incorrect if you move the pickleball court. The permit
Yeah,
is where you're supposed to have these things located.
right,
So if we change anything about the permit,
right.
Back at DRB again?
Yeah,
correct.
which is not happening. Not happening. We've already been twice.
I-
So we'll just follow the DRB. What it says. We're not going back again, Tess.
So you're concerned that there's gonna be
Trees, branches falling onto the pickleball courts.
from the
The
cedars
trees,
or from
no, the regular
one-
trees
The regular trees.
that are already there along the borders.
I don't think any of the
But we-
branches hang over. We had them all trimmed.
There, there are some pretty big branches. You
So
can,
we'll clean them up. That's what chainsaws are for.
So we could, but I think, are you mostly concerned of the gully side? What side are you most concerned about?
I'm concerned mostly about the north side.
Okay, when you say north, help me out.
That's the gully.
The gully side.
And that's the shortest distance. I mean, the length of the pickleball court is the shortest.
Distance wide.
I think we just have to watch the trees.
And Mother Nature, I mean, look at,
Well,
we
that's what our
we went and
recommendation.
trimmed
You
and,
can't move the pickleball. You can't move the pickleball court,
You won't have enough room for the parking lot.
right? You can't move it. So it's more of watching the trees and.
Well, and we advised them that they needed to have the trees checked annually.
Yeah.
So
and we'll have to pay attention.
we've done our due
too.
diligence on,
And maybe we just have Acer up and say, you know what, they've grown too much again. We need to cut them off so they don't fall, or ask his professional opinion. Are any of these gonna fall? If so, we need to get rid of them now.
Mhm.
I mean, but look what happened. He
did-
got rid of them all and look what happened to the baseball fence. Remember seeing that at behind I mean, we got rid of all those rotten ones and then a freak storm came up and that big one went down and hit the baseball fence.
You do.
I mean, that's why we have insurance too. I mean, I hate to say
Could
that.
end up airborne.
Exactly. That's why we have insurance. So,
We can't
We-
move, we can't start again.
Right, that would be starting totally over.
yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
And then take that money. We'd be
Yeah, we'd
uncontracted.
be done. But we can go up and take a peek, or if you want to mark it out and see just roughly where it's at.
They took a lot of stuff out
They sure did,
along the gullies, so,
My
and
other,
that's just a year, so
right?
less than a year that they were up there.
my
It
other,
is crazy.
my other concern is that the shed for the bocce pickleball and general maintenance is in phase 3, not in phase 2. So where do we store things like the hoses? Where do we store?
There is a shed, you use the existing.
Yeah, we'll have to
shed.
use the
Where
existing.
do we store the nets over the
I mean,
winter?
currently we have no money for the shed anyway, let alone the hose, any of it. So
Baseballs,
kind of have to,
stores stuff down in the basement of the town center.
they find places to store these things. You know, we don't, there has to be some order. You can't get everything all at the same time. It just doesn't work that way.
I just question how it was decided what was gonna go in each phase.
What was practical,
Mhm.
how it was.
Build them and they will come.
You
No.
build the big things, you put those in first, and then the smaller things kind of come in around. So that
And I
they're
mean,
not in the
that's
way of the
possible.
big construction.
That's something we could go to the next budget, because I think the water spigot, I think Josh is taking it out of the recreation budget.
Hmm.
So maybe next year we ask him, Josh, we need money to build.
Well, you said technically the recreation budget is probably smaller than that. He's gonna overspend the budget line.
Yep,
So it's not like
yeah,
he has $3,000 for a shed. Unless he wants to
Yeah,
overspend.
I think
it
the
again.
shed is the least
of our
yeah.
concerns.
We can find a place to store it.
There's already a shed up there. You just deal with working with Josh to have whoever needs access to that shed, have access to that shed. Until it works itself out.
Okay, so are we all good? Tess, any other questions?
No,
Okay. All right, so going back to the agenda, item number 10. So one of the other items that came up and the reason we met was, I am so I'm emailing often. What was his name?
Bob Neal.
Bob Neild from Engineering Ventures to see if he'd be willing to give us a and it's called, all right. So the thing we're looking for over at Volunteers Green, we're moving to Volunteers Green, is called the order of magnitude with conceptual drawings. And I was told that most contractors can give you a price on a band shell, for instance, plus or minus 10%, providing there's not unsuitable soil. They would take, if they have to take core samples. So anyway, so I have one coming from Breadloaf, and I apologize, I didn't call him earlier to find out if it's done. So Breadloaf is doing what they call an order of magnitude. So I'm calling Bob Neal to get an order of magnitude, and this is why I think the meeting came to a head with the two of them most. Bob Neal sends me back an email and says, Denise, would it be possible to get paid for the work we've already done? Yeah. So just so that
About the meeting that the three of you.
the three of us had with Josh and Duncan. So, just so that you know, Bob Neild went over there with,
Well, we met us in the winter.
in November. He met us in November over there with John Lynn, Fran, myself, and Eugenie, right?
I think Duncan was there.
Oh, when Duncan was there as well. So he met us over there. He's a larger man. He's on the ground. He's taking pictures underneath the band shell. He's looking at everything. He asked John Lynn to climb up. So he goes back to his office to start to write the report. There's things he wants to look at again. So he brings another crew from his office out. and goes back for a second site visit. I think it was January 7th. He sends the town a bill. 90 days, the bill still has not been paid. And here I am asking him for more work and we haven't even paid the first bill. So it was embarrassing to me and frustrating. And they signed the warrant last Monday night, so his bill did get finally paid.
They signed the invoice.
That's
Being
the
paid.
invoice,
You said warrant.
I'm sorry, invoice. So that he can get his money. So he has not given me one after I'm probably gonna wait a week to make sure he got the check. And then I'll contact him again to see if he is interested. So we don't know where that is, but I was a little disheartened. So I also called John Lynn to make sure he had been paid in full. He had, and I don't know if you remember, but it took a long time for, help me out. Chris Haggerty to get paid as well. So that was one of our issues as well. So we let him know we were not happy with how things were being paid. But in saying that, we're still waiting for the order of magnitude. But it was encouraging that it will be plus or minus 10%.
Well, but really what we're looking for is what would it cost us to have them do that?
Right.
Tell us what it would cost.
Is that what an order of magnitude is?
I've never heard the
Oh,
term
okay.
order.
I
We need to know,
what-
we
Yeah.
need to know what it would cost us to hire Bob Neal or John Johnson, Everett, to figure out what it would cost to build.
right. That's what order of magnitude is.
Yeah, but we need to, before we hire them, we need to know what it would cost us to have them do that job.
The order of
Just to
magnitude.
create that.
Yes.
Bread Loaf is not charging us. Bread
She
Loaf-
said this a number of times.
Yeah, I know.
I have not verified, but she has stated this out loud a
Yes.
number of times that
Bread
they
Loaf is
are
not charging.
doing the order of, or the whatever I'm looking up what the definition.
I mean, because
Order
that's,
of magnitude for free, then in the order of magnitude, it sounds like literally is the costing of what it would cost to do said project, meaning when we looked at the designs 2 and 4.
Right.
And so they would be telling us the costing of doing plan 2 and 4 that were presented to us as a committee. And like Denise, she keeps saying that they are offering to do that. I don't have,
And I will double check with John again, but I know, but he already had somebody in his office working on it.
because that's work.
Oh, it is.
That's significant work.
I mean, we paid for other
Mm-hmm.
similar,
And
Work.
you know what, I can call him tomorrow again, just to make sure that we're not gonna owe him money, but I know we're not going to.
Hmm.
So,
when we asked the question to Denise before, and I don't know who was in the room, she had said he indicated that this was the type of project he liked doing and therefore was willing to do this order of magnitude for free because he enjoyed doing this type of project.
John
Yeah.
Johnston, yeah,
That's what Denise had
He's a
said
Richmond
before.
resident.
and he loves this town.
So that's sort of, it sounds like why, similar to when we've dealt with,
I think
John
he may be a
Lynn.
principal as
It
well.
sounds like
Yeah, just like John Lynn. And John Lynn gave us a hell of a deal.
Mhm.
so I just know what
Well,
you
we'll wait and see.
keep saying
Yeah.
to us.
But I will touch base with them again and. Okay, so any,
I assumed it would be like. When, say Gary got an estimate, have somebody.
Right, right.
For them to.
Even
to
do the
look
scope
at
of
the
work.
band
Mhm.
shop,
right,
they said it would cost $9,000. So to me, I'm thinking. For Bob Neal to now look at the project.
and Bob Neal only charged us, what, 2,500?
Yeah, but now it's now it's a much bigger
Right,
thing. So it would seem to me like he'd say, well, for me to draw up the project, it would be $10,000 or, whatever.
Right. So I think that's the piece that it sounds like
but don't you think
he's
that
willing to do.
John's already rough draft enough to get them
John,
going?
Not John.
no, to cost that out, to cost that out,
Doesn't mean the picture of what it would look like. She means like
take the picture.
how much each
actual.
of these pieces will then cost in the construction and the labor and the,
Yeah, and to
That's
figure,
the
to
Put it
fig-
there.
Of magnitude?
that's the order of, that's my understanding of what the order of magnitude is.
to figure that out is
It
not
takes the
something
picture.
that I can take, that's an
How
hour.
much will?
Right, it sounds like that's taking the picture that John Lynn did of item 2 and then putting dollars to it,
For every.
to how to make this happen,
Mhm.
minus demolition, I
Yeah,
believe.
and so my
Right.
thought was, for them to even do
Right.
that part, to figure out what it would cost,
That they would want to be paid.
would be a cost.
To draw up that order.
Yeah,
Right.
Not just cost, but how.
And I will double check, but, and I said to him, I said, well, how close are you gonna be for the actual cost? He goes, usually we're within 10% plus or minus. When it goes out to bid.
well, it'd be great if they
I
do it
know.
for nothing, but I would not think that Bob Neal would do it for nothing,
I don't think he would either.
but.
And who knows, after this little fiasco, he may not do it at all. But
Okay. Other project updates, volunteer screen.
Well, I have asked Chris Spence to,
For demolition.
for demolition and, via email and phone. I haven't gotten any response. So he knew, he knows what I'm looking for, and I said, just a ballpark,
right,
give me an idea, is it within 10,000, 5,000?
you know who we just had a road work done, and I don't know if they do it, but he's got the equipment, I think. We just had Mark, no. Moltrip.
I think it is Mark who does the road. he did
Roads,
our
Mark
road last year.
Moltrip and Fitzgerald,
Mhm.
Diane's husband.
Yeah.
They just did our road. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they were low bidder. I mean, it was incredible. And they were
So-
efficient, they were quick. Unbelievable. So,
Well, but
He
Devin,
told me that he's very picky and only pick, this is their retirement job, so
Yeah.
they only
Yeah.
pick things they might want to do that aren't too difficult.
okay, get you. They were awesome.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, they were like,
with Chris, he was saying that, okay, the concrete part has to go here. The wood would have to go
Mhm.
there, so it's more than just
Right.
knocking.
It's how you take care of.
How you take
dispose
care
of
of
refuge,
it.
yeah.
So it really, it has to be, and Chris does that, so he knows, the rules,
Mhm.
whatever, so we've, had Mark do some things, but I know that he's trying to retire.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
he was pretty clear about that. Don't tell too many of your friends.
okay.
So I guess at this point, you'll just keep
Yeah.
out. I mean, we're not
Same.
moving very fast because we don't have any.
What if
No, but just to,
We want the numbers so that
We
we
have
can
some
then, be like, okay,
numbers.
these are where we're at.
Do you know, oh, I have to think of it's, she was Susie Alexander, Susan Turcott
yeah,
and her partner have,
Bolio,
yeah,
Dennis,
Dennis Bolio.
yeah, and what's the four square, they do, he's out there with his bulldozer playing in the yard daily.
Yeah.
He's builds things. I don't know if his.
Denny
you know, their
Bolio, he's got a company now.
Right, it's called Foursquare, I think. I've got I have the business card. But I mean, there's a local, I don't know if that's the kind of stuff he
well,
does. but he
I
does-
just thought it was John Scott,
Oh, yeah.
that might be,
Mm.
well, we've had him do some work for us.
He's had a couple heart attacks recently.
Oh, all right, but.
Hmm?
Be a high bid.
Mhm.
Well, I will
But
try.
hey, why not
I will
ask?
try Chris couple more times, love him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, who knows
what
when
you've
this
done.
would ever get done?
Exactly.
But I think in order for us to keep progressing, we
Plugging.
sort of have to have some ballpark numbers.
That's one of the things that like we kind of should talk about as a committee is that, with the money on hold, how far do we go?
Hmm.
Do we, it just feels like, do you keep going and make a plan and then hope the money kind of comes in? Or do you put it on hold and deal with it when the money comes in. You know, it just is, because depending on how long this money really takes, prices all change. We've already seen that.
I think, that might be a good agenda item,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, is,
Yeah,
I mean, even if the money all came back, it isn't enough.
No,
right.
mhm.
we'll be
Yeah.
having phase 1, 2, and 3
Hmm.
for somebody else.
Hmm.
Maybe we do phase 1, but somebody else will be doing 2 and 3.
Mhm.
Yes, that
So an
could be,
agenda
that's a
item-
good future.
Where do we go from here? What is our,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Except if we do phase 1 only,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not gonna have an expanded parking lot.
No, I'm
Not if
talking about.
Brown's
More,
Corner.
more volunteers.
Oh, okay, I'm
I'm
sorry,
talking about
I'm
maybe
sorry.
we make a plan like that
Okay.
for volunteers
Volunteers
green,
green.
and then it's like,
Then,
you know, maybe we get a playground in and
yep,
the next committee.
you
takes
may
over
get
our
a
work.
playground in and demolish the band shell.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then here's where,
exactly,
but we need other people to help.
exactly.
Well, and the concern with that is if you demolish the band shell, are they then gonna, if you wait too long to rebuild a new structure, a replacement structure, are they gonna count it as a new structure?
Well,
Because it's waited too long,
Mm.
ugh,
right?
that's what-
This is the things we're up against.
All right, are we all good? Are we ready to move on?
Yes,
All right, Jeannie, RES Student Project Citizen.
I have no way of pulling it up. I apologize.
So it was sweet. They had a very well thought out plan. Their project citizen plan was looking at volunteers green and talking about ways to make it the playground, the playground at volunteers green. How can it be accessible? And how can it withstand flooding? So they had 10 slides and each kid read, I mean, the slides were great. So you could look at the slides. She wanted to send us she could have them all read their notes but anyhow. So I would say to just make it, wait, I could probably look at the slide and just read them to you quickly. Or I can just tell you,
I read through, they looked very well thought out.
they were really well planned and they had really thought out and they were really excited. They were pretty passionate about that this playground should be for all kids to be able to use. And that there needs, one of the things they talked quite a bit about was, and a little sensory quiet place for kids to be.
I think that
And-
is really neat.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was really did my heart good. And then
Now, what
I
grade was
showed
this?
them-
What grade?
I think it's a 4th grade project citizen. It was the librarian and the enrichment teacher kind of worked together. So this was a 3rd and 4th grade, the Spanish immersion class that did this project. Different groups picked different things in the town that they wanted to talk about. So they had lots of questions about the flooding. They had pictures about natural playgrounds. So I was able to talk with them about zoning and learning about zoning and what we can and what we can't have. And then it was great because their teacher would say, now, why do you think wood wouldn't be a good thing to have in a flood zone? So, but I think it was just, it was great for me to see how passionate these kids were. And they were so nervous when they were reading their little scripts, the papers were shaking, but they had worked at it. And so I guess the bottom line, so what I did is I took some of the pictures of the sketches and the drawings and said, well, here's what we're thinking about. I explained, that we're thinking about moving it up. We talked about flooding and, they definitely didn't want any rubber mats, on there because that's not good for the environment.
Oh.
But then when I shared some of the pictures, like of a friendship swing or the merry-go-round that's accessible, they were just like so excited and, you've already thought about these things?
That's awesome.
So it was really sweet. And I sent them a thank you note and just said, that I'll share this with the committee, that their ideas are really going to make me be even more vocal about a quiet spot for kids with sensory needs. That's basically what, oh, and they were so happy to hear about a separate toddler area too. They really need that. So,
Oh, that's,
anyhow,
That's nice.
it was a feel-good thing to go do that.
Well, it sounds really nice that like they took that both them and their teachers took all the time to
Mhm.
kind of learn about this, talk about this and
Mhm.
present it to you. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So what I can do is just I'll forward the slides on if you.
Yeah,
want
I
to
thought
I
look
think,
at
Yeah.
I
it.
think you
see it.
did.
can.
I thought I saw
I
them.
thought I just sent it to you today.
It was just to me?
I just,
Okay.
to pull up tonight.
Sorry, I didn't notice
Yeah,
it
if
was
you
just
could
me. I
forward
looked at
that.
it.
Yeah, because it's just.
It was, they were quite good.
10 slides like this.
And they had, you know,
Pictures.
Picture,
and-
yeah. And their pictures were quite similar to things that we looked at, so it was quite neat to see that a kid would could have thought of the
Yeah.
things that we were doing.
And one of them came up afterwards so quiet, you could see she was really nervous. She said, I really like if there would be some flowers. Anyhow.
All right, we're turning it right back over to you.
Okay.
Condition of current playground and then most recent safety inspection.
So there haven't been any newest safety inspections, but I talked to Duncan.
Since
July
2024?
Yeah, May 2024. And I
Oh,
think
so-
after the flooding, they looked at some things, but they didn't give an official printout report.
Oh.
But one would be due about right now. And someone was coming to maybe also inspect the fire station. And so Duncan was gonna say, come on, walk down to the park with me. And that would be like this week. Because it usually was the recreation committee that, requested those safety.
Gotcha.
Whatever. But they did replace on the swing sets, the chains, the coverings on the chains and hook the chains up. And I said to Duncan, and I think they got some new seats. I said, those swing sets are gonna stay where they are.
Mhm.
And I said, I want to make sure we tell everybody that. I could see when it's time to demolish, somebody just take the
Yeah.
swing sets down too. So I said, oh, definitely put that. He goes, they've also talked about if there's any more damage, their things are just gonna remove and not repair.
Yeah.
And those safety reports are so minimal. I mean, they don't say.
like a joke.
Jagged metal edges, yeah, it's just the real basic, so. But there's several places that say if this cannot be repaired soon, you should.
Jeannie, do you
get rid
think
of that.
that you should possibly be there when the inspection's done?
No, it's not really, I think it's more like the insurance company inspection.
It's-
It's
Yeah, I
not
get it.
It's the
anything that,
town, it's through the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns.
yeah.
For their
it's-
insurance.
It
than it
doesn't
is
give
the
you.
Actual.
I mean,
Gotcha.
their reports that I have in here are like 2 pages with a couple pictures of things on it.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
they're not really.
I gotcha.
evaluable.
Okay.
That is how the slide got replaced when it had the big crack in it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it had been on there for a number of months. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it got
true.
replaced because the squeaky wheel was
Yes.
And then
only
we've
got
got,
replaced because of the report. For
then we
being,
have next steps, but
I brought the report.
right.
next steps, are we thinking?
How are we doing as far as getting estimates for the parking lot at Brown's Court?
We had them.
We have
We
them.
have them.
Yeah, we have 3.
It's to go out for bid when they're ready to do it. So we don't need to do anything with estimate. We got more than, we got at least 3 estimates,
If not 4.
if not 4. And then it's pending bid because they can't do it until after the pickleball courts are done. Then they'll go out for bid just like they did with the pickleball court. They'll then have same process
Bid
of
opening.
Yeah, the bid.
dates and
But
show
I
up and.
promise you, I will make sure this time that I'm going in there and hand address
The ones
a
we-
bid packet to all 3 or 4 of the people we got. I will
'Cause
do it
when-
myself.
I'll say when we transitioned the documents to Duncan and Josh, it outlined who each one was from and how to contact them. And all of this stuff was outlined
Mm.
the most
Right.
organized you could possibly get with bookmarks and
You.
Excels and all of the things.
But I'm
So
sure that I hand address all
that's
3 or 4 of those
handled.
envelopes myself.
that we just have to wait for the timing in which, because you can't, it'll go, you know, they can't bid it out until it's ready
Until we have
to
money.
do it. And the money,
Okay.
the money's this,
Yeah.
money, and they didn't want to do it at the same time as the
Right.
pickleball court, because they wanted the pickleball court in first. And then put the parking lot in.
Had we
So
known.
there's nothing for us to do on the parking lot
See that?
This was the next steps. Well, go ahead and finish that, but
Yeah.
this was next steps on.
for volunteer screen, yeah.
Agenda, but go ahead.
That's what concerns me with this, is because we have the pickleball spring, summer 2025. For phase 2, which is where your gravel parking lot comes in, it's summer, fall of 2025.
But that was before the July 2024 flood and the town took all the money.
Okay. So
So
in the meantime,
we're in limbo right now.
Yeah.
Until that money gets reimbursed. Yes, that money is ours. When and if it comes back to the town, it will be in that account, but X amount of dollars, which we need to make sure we know exactly what is ours. So when Josh,
550,000,
how much?
550,000.
Okay. So 550,000 is ours. Minus the
pickleball.
water.
No, minus the pickleball.
Because we already had that.
550,000 is our budget as a whole.
Right.
The 140 something off the top. of my
41.
head.
I have-
140, 11, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the pickleball quote was, that's the
141.
only amount
Something.
that's already been put aside and been paid. Plus, I would say I don't have the final numbers on round church stuff. So those were already paid for. So those were not moved away.
Sure.
So that's what I have to know is, okay, it's the 550 minus the things that are already paid for is what we have left. And what they came in at, if anything different than what we budgeted. So, for example, the benches that we've already paid for, the
Mhm.
picnic table we've already paid
Let's
for. the
see how they do
benches,
accounting.
but this could be a real mess if you've got your pickleball courts built, okay? And then money doesn't come through for,
But there's a parking lot
There
that's
is a part,
functioning there.
they'll just.
It's just
Last
not as
week-
nice.
What did Jim Oliver tell us? There were 43 cars in the field last week?
35. he
30
said.
something.
30, yeah, 30 something for,
It was just over 30.
They'll make it do.
but
they'll
that-
make it
Park
work.
somewhere.
I can't do.
There's already a parking lot, so the people are already parking up there. It's not like it's,
Nothing.
it's just would be nice to have a nice parking lot to go with the nice pickleball court, but
You know,
it's not gonna mean you can't use the pickleball court if there's no park. no
if
nice
worst
parking.
comes to worst, you can go up with some stakes and ropes.
Yeah.
And
And
rope out.
yeah, just like they do for special events in a field.
But this was on the agenda. We're back, we were.
Right,
are there
this
any
is
next
volunteer
steps for
screens.
Volunteer screen. I think we've.
I think we've
covered
already
Yeah.
covered
I
next
think
steps
we
for
did.
volunteer screen.
Fran's gonna
that
keep
one.
trying, I'm gonna keep trying, and I'm gonna clarify that we don't owe Red Loaf any money. Sorry, John, we don't have any.
Okay,
All
are we
right.
done with volunteer screen for today?
Yep, round church green updates, bench cleaning, Jeannie.
Yep, well, I just wanted to run this by you guys. I was thinking, last year Tess and I and Kent Riggs went and scrubbed all those benches out there.
Oh,
And I had talked to some folks about being bench buddies next year, or sort of like an adopt a bench, but
Mhm.
I don't want to use the adopt on a bench. Anyhow, so I wondered if I could put something out there on Facebook, Front Porch Forum, about recruiting people to help clean. I mean, I would definitely want to talk to Duncan or
Right.
Josh. I mean, I could send an email,
Yeah.
here's what I
Talk
was
to
thinking.
Josh.
What do you-
Talk to them first, and then
What
I'm
do you
sure
think
they'll
about
say, sounds great.
And there are 6 benches, and would somebody just, twice a year, look at the benches, in the spring and maybe midsummer.
don't
after
look
the
at
birds
one
go on.
right now.
Which one? What happened?
Bird poop. There was so
Oh,
much
yeah.
bird poop
That's-
on when I was there today.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is
that's
there
why we need
is there
somebody
a
to-
tree or something?
They sit right on the bench.
Well, they're all under
Oh, do
trees.
you think
Yeah.
people are eating their lunch on the bench, drop food and
No,
that's?
birds are-
No,
no, when I was scrubbing, come on, I was scrubbing and one would plop right down.
It's
Just the way it
They're
is.
everywhere. It's a bird spray, but
yeah, it's the one, to Tim Whiteford.
Yeah.
It's either that one or the one
Yeah.
next to it. I looked, all these big white blops on
Hmm.
it today. Well, I should have had the Waitsfield telephone people clean the bench, but they did our windows today, so.
Gotcha.
Oh, nice.
Well, the issue with it, you have to put out a plea that you have to carry your water there. There is no
Mhm.
water.
There's not a spigot outside,
No.
out back of the, no?
No, so if that's.
So are you
I'll
gonna,
either
are
draft
you gonna
something
do
to
like
you
a,
guys-
please come and volunteer, like 2 hours? For instance, 1 to 3 or 3 to 5 on this
No,
day?
I was thinking of just saying, Megan and your family, you adopt bench B and throughout the summer, you go check it every once in a while, see if it's clean, wash it, like you just.
So didn't you have
just
special
kind of-
instructions that you were,
I
that
did
you
have
provided
all
to?
the instructions typed up, but this would just be with some soapy water.
Yeah,
and
that's
scrub.
her-
Not, it
were
wouldn't need to be used as,
finished.
okay,
You wouldn't have to
okay.
reseal anything yet. at this
Okay,
point. It's
that's
just
what I
a-
was, I don't know how often you do that kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I,
How does the lichen look on the bench? Are there any lichen?
No, it looked lichen free, but it was just.
Yeah.
Okay,
all the
so it's
way there was.
more just, it's not the whole
Lichen
process that she was
if you
out.
don't scrub it at least
Okay.
twice a year.
So it's
So
not
will
the
you
whole
give a
process
little
you did last year,
history?
it's like a lighter
Will you give a
version of
little
that.
history and
That's what I
then,
was hoping,
Okay.
yeah.
But I would say talk to Josh and Duncan first, make sure they're all
I could Send
good.
it to them, say, is this okay to send
Yeah.
out? What do you
I would
think?
say Josh.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, okay. On another note, you want to hear something sad? Today, I picked up 2 women in Park and Ride. You know how we've had awful break-ins at Park and Ride?
Yes.
There must be 4 or 5 huge puddles of glass. I mean, windshield glass all over the place that needs to be cleaned up. It's a wreck. You can't even park.
They arrested 4 people Friday night or Thursday night.
Oh,
Good.
Oh, thank God.
they
You
should
should
have
have-
go sweep.
You should see that they need to have the state over there and sweep it up.
They caught them in the act and they went over and arrested.
Oh, thank God. Locals, I hope not.
I don't know, Thursday night maybe?
And
So
if
I
it's
might
just
call
one of
Josh
them,
tomorrow just to give him a heads up how much glass there is down there to call the state.
Okay, so we are at after 9 o'clock.
So-
Other matters on Round Church.
Well, this possible celebration, maybe we can talk about later. Fran and I are sort of, I'll just do real quick. Nancy Dutil has written a sweet little book about a mouse that lives in the church, and we're trying to get it published so she can, and working with the, Historical Society. And I would love to have a book signing for Nancy in the summer, if we get printed by then. So then I was thinking maybe we would want to, make it something about, here's, this is one park that we've completed and here's what we did to this park. So anyhow. Or maybe we just want that one to, it's done.
Or maybe the best place for the book signing would be at the new bookstore.
There are little things that happen all around the round church, so I think it would be.
Oh,
it's
I
about
see,
A mouse
see.
that lives in the round church.
I see.
So that's,
Hmm.
but we can, maybe that's just.
I think it's cute, but my initial is like, does that take away from her celebration of doing a book
Right,
signing?
or
If we
from our
make it about
celebration of having the park done.
our celebration, because I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to
Okay,
take away
good
from
point.
her.
Well, and I just
Anyway.
asked the mowers who supposedly seeded the stump area last
Mm.
year to reseed, so.
Oh, good.
Not before a big downpour.
Mm.
Because that's what I think the seed washed away.
Good luck.
Yeah, good
Sounds like we have.
All right.
So, okay, the one thing we didn't do yet, so that's the other business.
Mhm.
We need to schedule our next meeting.
Okay.
And then, can I ask,
Tell me.
Denise has asked me to put together, and that's what I was referring to, the actual versus
Did you see mine?
budgeted percentage for Round Church and volunteers, Round Church and Browns Court. Can those of you that know what things were paid for in dollar values, if you were included on something for, those benches at the Round Church or picnic tables or cement pads,
Yeah.
if you know any of these things, it would be helpful for me to then be filling in actual compared to our budget, because we got a certain dollar amount approved for those 2 parks. And obviously the pickleball courts ended up a lot more than that, so we kind of have to see where we're balancing
So I'm
out.
wondering if we should just you should call Connie Bona if she has everything in a file already for that money.
I would have sent the bills to her if that's what I think I could pull the statements up from.
I would think she would have to have it in a spreadsheet for the ARPA money.
I can go see her if you,
Yeah, do you mind?
If you're more than,
I mean,
there's no way I'm gonna be available to go in the middle of the day. It's
I'll go.
it's
see.
not gonna happen.
For the cement pads.
Right now. So the things that I think were paid for was the cement pads at Round Church,
Mhm,
picnic table, the additional bench.
mhm.
Was there landscaping that was paid for out of our budget? We had it in there for our presentation, but I think that may have gotten paid by other things. But if there was out of our budget,
All the tree work that counted as all
that was
three?
all.
No, we didn't pay for
no.
tree work.
We didn't, that's different.
The town
Whether
paid
there
for
was
all the tree work.
landscaping work at the Round Church, we had budgeted $2,200 for that. And whether to look back at, was that paid out of our funds? Was that paid by something else? So maybe pick your brains. on-
Tree fund was paid by the town of Richmond.
I know the
That's,
tree was.
so that's even more important, why we need to
Yeah.
keep this accurate, 100% accurate.
So I know that the trees were, and I've already removed that, the donation of the monuments, things like that. I couldn't remember on the landscaping, whether any, I don't
I don't think we had any
think we paid
landscaping.
for anything.
Mow and maintain, seeded it and put topsoil
Yeah, well,
down.
that cost $2,000 some dollars, but where it came from.
Weren't they
I'd
paid
have to-
before? I think if you looked at, were they paid before that meeting where we got our thing, our budget approved? Or after? Because I think if they were paid before, it didn't come out of ours
I
because we didn't
think
have it approved.
You kind of go in there and say, Connie, can you tell us where we're at and what was paid for? And how much?
Cause I
was
know,
it?
those are really the things that I,
Because I think you're gonna have more accurate information, to be honest with you.
There'd be, just like.
Cleaning
100
supplies?
bucks, yeah, $100 something.
For lichen
to me-
remover,
To me,
cleaner?
yeah, that, I mean, I gave them a bill and they paid me.
but it would be good to see all the expenses
you've
that
said
have been,
is allocated to our committee.
yeah, allocated to our committee.
Cause comparing actual to what we got budgeted, as we get closer to the bottom line of it, will be important.
All right, so what about
Meetings.
meetings? So today is the 27th. What about June 24th?
But
But-
yeah, the week,
Tuesday, 4 weeks from today. Is that right?
That is, and I will not be here.
Okay, what about the 26th?
I'm gone for a week and a
Okay.
half. I'm gone for 10 days, from the 24th to
Do we want to,
Ohio. Would you
What
like
about
to
the
go?
week before? What about the week before?
want
Yeah,
the
but-
19th?
County fair.
Thursday night, the 19th?
Can we talk about, we have a couple agenda items we've talked about, but if what we had left was talking about where do we go from here?
Pictures,
Concept, and then
pictures at
the
Brown's Court.
signs and the
Sorry.
talking, the hours. What do we think that we're going to have in a month other than those two items? Do we think we're gonna have any of these quotes? Do we think we're gonna have, like, let's talk about what we think we're even gonna,
I'm nervous if we don't
discussing.
have something in June that I truly believe something is going to come up in the interim from the contractor.
well, I'm saying, if we move ahead and we do it 3 weeks, like we were just suggesting.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Versus
Well,
back.
Jeannie's gone from here to
Versus
here.
back after and have it be 5 weeks. That's what
You
I'm.
mean the first week of August? Or the first week of
July.
the 4th is a Friday.
We could Tuesday, July 1st.
I'm gonna be gone the first, but the second.
I'm not back till after the second. Or the
Okay,
third.
or we could do Tuesday, the 8th. I mean, do you think there's a reason why we need to?
On then.
If
We're-
for some reason, and I can't anticipate any, there's a crisis and we need to meet,
Right,
we can pull
We
it.
can
Do we
put
wanna do
together, you would
that?
just have to get 48 hours posting.
So go with after the July.
everyone here on July 10th, Thursday night?
I don't have my phone, so I lost. I know I were gone 7th, 8th. What night is that?
The Thursday.
Tess, you here?
I believe so.
Okay,
I think so. Okay, we're having a group of people that night. I think the 10th is on. Yeah, 10th. And do you want it to be if needed? 10th if needed, or you
I think-
think we should?
yeah. I think that one's probably gonna be, because we pushed it out a ways, I feel like it'll probably be.
yeah,
the
we
end.
could
It'll
meet.
probably go.
I think that one will be,
Ian,
yeah,
Because
it's
we'll
whether
have
we
some
need to meet
updates
before
hopefully
that is
from
the
John,
question.
and maybe I'll reach out to Bob Neild again. Or I will reach out to Bob Neild again and,
Just to make sure he,
or let me ask you this. I don't know, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I'm almost thinking that do we invite John Johnston to educate us about where we go from here and what he did or what he's doing? He may have it done.
Mhm.
Tell us what we need to do now.
Why don't you touch base with him
Yeah.
yeah.
and see what he says?
Who,
Yeah.
And then if we can adjust it
but
accordingly.
I mean, I don't want to be the only one getting educated. I think we all need to.
No,
no.
touch base with him on, does that make
Oh, I'm gonna
sense? Like,
totally
does he feel like he would be able to like,
do a presentation.
Yeah.
for
right,
us.
right, not that you need to get educated on your own.
Yeah.
Meaning, does he
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's, will he have something for the,
To show us or to talk to us about.
agenda? Who did the agenda for today? And do you want to do the next one?
I'm happy to do.
So Tess sent some
Because
stuff.
I end up like,
Jeannie sent some stuff. I'm at work
was
and I
great.
said, Jeannie,
She gave me
here's,
5 sticky notes.
here's, I've been
Yeah, you did.
photocopying all these. And I'm like, Jeannie, this is what I have so far. Can you put it together? I'm at
she
work.
gave you notes? She didn't ever give me notes. She
took
must really
pictures of
like
her
you.
notes.
Took pictures of her notes and sent
I
them.
get like,
But that's a good point that you bring up. I mean, we meet and then we say, oh, we need to do this and this and this.
Yeah.
So after the meeting tonight, if you could send stuff, are you willing to do
Right
agenda?
now, I'm trying to write next agenda items. You start, use.
Okay,
you
so we know we
mentioned some
have
things and I-
welcome. We have the first three.
Oh, yeah, I think that format is just a great format.
I do too. 1, 2, 3, 4. So do the 4. And then, oh, you know what we're gonna have is we're gonna have discussion about the grant application. So we are gonna need to meet.
Yep.
Because we're gonna have discussion about the grant application for conservation. Now, can I jump on that committee? Do you mind?
No.
Thank you. So it's you two? I just would love to jump on one,
Oh, to write the grant?
not to write it. Because you speak so eloquently.
When I can type and change and move things.
But yeah,
It shouldn't take very long.
no, it shouldn't take very long at all. And then we can go over it as a committee and we'll vote on submitting the grant.
Yep.
So we have to get that done before July 10th.
Mhm.
and likely that will be my last meeting before I have the baby. And I'm not coming here like a week post. You can.
When are you
just-
due?
I'm due August 20th. I go.
I am bigger than you, for God's sake. You're due August 20th?
And so then I'm
That
not-
will,
I'm
that
not
will be
coming
your
here
last
a week
meeting.
Yeah.
Before I have the baby. yeah.
Okay, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
Yeah.
To adjourn.
It seems like because we've got that OML, we've got the stuff about the signs at Brown's Court. We want to have some kind of public awareness we had mentioned
About what?
What?
about the signs.
Right, on the
hour-
agenda.
On the agenda, that will be on the agenda,
The hours.
and it goes on Front Porch Forum.
And
And
she's
it
gonna
gets
post the
posted.
draft. She's gonna have Duncan post the draft that show the hours onto the site where Duncan.
Yeah, he's gonna do
With all the
related
attachments.
files so that
In
everyone
advance.
can see the.
We talked
the-
about doing that. Yep.
The draft of what we've come, or what you guys have come up with.
To then be discussed at that meeting and voted on.
I think somewhere in there, I don't know if people are aware of all of the ins and outs of that contract for the pickleball courts. Maybe that could be posted as well.
I don't know that it's
I don't think they need to. I mean, that's
Contract,
public
you don't post-
information. They can always come down here. And by law, if someone wants to see it, they have to come down here and it's called a public
Yeah.
information request. And you just ask and they have to show it to you. Anything that's in this office, but that's not something, there's,
and I'm sure it was posted when it was approved by the
right.
select
So
board
remember,
back in
they
their
had the
related
public
items.
meeting the day the bids were open. That's when you would see it. That's when you would ask your questions. Is then, because they have to make that meeting public. And what, 4 of us came?
Yep.
So,
Well, one thing to add would be, to talk about a progress report to put out on the front porch forum.
That's,
And I think we need to report out to the select board. I don't want them to forget all the damn work we're doing. So I think with that progress report, maybe we submit it to, maybe we get on a select board agenda for 15 minutes. And just let them know, this is what's happening, this is where we set, this is how much we've spent of our 550. I think we need to report out to them.
I think that's a great idea.
I
So
really,
plan that next time.
yeah, we'll plan that next time. We'll plan out money, what we've done, have it all written down, each park and what's been completed. And where we go from here. Yeah, I think we need to report out.
and to write the pickleball grant, the next pickleball grant, do we
Yes.
need to go to the select? board?
Mhm.
No, it's the same. Well,
Yes,
Same
you said
organization.
all grants have to be approved
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a separate,
before submitting. That's what you said.
also just be, I don't think we need to be there. It's just like, gosh. put that
Pickleball
on the
serve,
agenda
yeah.
that there's- That we're applying for.
but that opens up August 18th.
Eighth.
8th.
National Pickleball
Pickleball Day.
Day. Don't you, you're gonna have wear a crown that day, aren't you?
Exactly.
You got your outfit picked out?
No.
Yeah.
I'll bring my bag.
Are you
no.
calling,
Do it
the
again.
you've got to call the adjournment. You keep talking.
Can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second, all those in favor of adjourning this meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
It's good.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.